Thank you, Bharat. Thank you very much. I think good morning to all, and also the very, very Ganesh Chaturthi. I'm to a journey of science communication, and then how you can write a very popular article based on your research. Because most of the time, as a communicator, my career is mainly into the science communication, and I feel the scientists or the research scholars are very reluctant to write in a popular format. There may be very, you can say, obvious reason to that, because it's a more of a skill which you develop over a period of time. It's not like it's not a ghutti kind of thing. It can be given, and you need to improve your skill. And it's a very unfortunate part of our training as a researcher, that we are even not trained in writing, even in the technical paper also. It's a self-learning, self exploration. We by a lot of mistakes, doing mistakes, we learn how to write technical paper. But there is no provision to do this, telling people about your research to a common man. And it is a very important. I think I would like to share my screen to
सर फुल स्क्रीन मोड कर दीजिए.
या कर दिया, हो गया. I think now it's done. So science communication, and the topic which is like that, communication and popular science writing. Because and I'll take you to a journey, in the sense like first try to understand what is science communication, and with the help of certain case study, we'll try to understand what can be a good story you can write about your own research, or what should be the format, or what could be the possible way by which you can make your the output of your research more interesting, relatable to the people, and it could be engaging, when they're reading your article. So I think most of the thing about this program, and the structure has been told by Dr. Parveen Arora, the basic premise by Nakul Parashaji and Rashmi ji. So I'll come directly to the business. Now, what is the science communication is generally, it's a technical term, is the science communication, but its main is like taking science to the people. And it is very important to the three basic objective which has been now you can say, which has been like evolved as a basic premise in our country, is to create awareness, to enhance and spread and depth of the scientific knowledge. Because we know today every aspect of our life is governed by science and technology. We have already kept a target of 5 trillion economy. Now even the environmental problem, economic problem, and social problem all has to be solved by taking the help of science and technology. And for that, it is very important that the people who are who are our target group, for whom we are developing those science or technology, they should understand. Otherwise it will be useless. Recent example, you can see when this vaccine came of corona, till now there is a lot of reservation in the minds of many people about the about this vaccines. So still not many people has been vaccinated, and they're not going to the vaccination center because of their own superstitions, or having their own logic. So that means the depth of scientific knowledge has not yet been penetrated about the vaccination part. So that's why the Vigyan Prasar has been since 2019 December, we have been engaged in communicating the science of corona. and also to build up to build the capacity to communicate. That's why we have taken you as a very specific target group to develop some skill in writing this popular science, and empower fellow citizens through participation and engagement for informed decision making, because it is very necessary. Otherwise, still, like if we are using something and if we don't know its pros and cons, I think that is also not good. That's why, like, this all the consumer movement, or recently this term has come as a risk communication. Like for every technology, there is some risk is associated. So whatever product you see on TV in advertisement, they're telling only the one side of the story. They are not telling the risk associated with that product or with the technology. So now we are talking about science, technology, and innovation should be the engine of social, economic, and environmental development, and throughout the country and throughout the world is also looking for this kind of thing. And uh, in 2010, Dr. Abdul Kalam has, added a new dimension to science communication, because science communication, as I told you, popularizing science. Science is, in general terms, it is a science popularization. And in Western countries, the term uses public understanding of science and technology. There are actually this field as an academic discipline has simultaneously developed in different part of the world, and they have their own nomenclature. But in India, we use science communication or science popularization. And the very objective which they say, in addition to what I have told you, like all the people should feel enthusiastic about science and technology. This is very important, not like what is happening in case of this corona vaccination. And we should, now we have already a signatory to the Sustainable Development Goal. So we should also, whatever, as a scientist or as a common man, if I'm a user or if I'm a developer, I should be aware of that this planet Earth, its sustainability I have to ensure, and everything I should be sensitive towards that. And also encouraging a student to take up science as a career, because across the world, across the globe, this the trend of opting science technology as a career option, this trend is going towards the downside. So this was the objective, again, to feel enthusiastic about it, and also encouraging students, our youngster, to take up science as a career option. And now the purpose of research, like we have to understand that to go further. Like the basic purpose of research is to generate new knowledge, something which is not known earlier, or not done earlier. And this is important, that because in India, the major share of our money for the research funding is coming from the public money. So they should also know the where their money is going and what kind of research is being done using their money. And your research may be pure research or applied. Pure means mainly of academic interest and hold the potential to review or look our existing understanding and give way for the development of some new technology in future. Like if we say the photoelectric effect, which was discovered in 1905, and whatever, like the electronic development which we see, all the devices, they are using that same science. At that time we were not knowing. So this is the importance of basic science. In time to come, it may be converted into a technology, or it may be used in some technology. So that's why the development of basic R&D in basic research is very, very important. And then we have the applied kind of thing, where we are doing this survey or experimental example, like traditional knowledge system, which Dr. Parveen Arora said about this, the chutney of ants. So this chutney of ants is without, like, what is the active compound. So if we have to validate that research, that means we have to first isolate that active compound which boosts the immunity. Saying like that, eating that chutney will boost your immunity and will save you from corona, is not acceptable. So I'll take you one case study similar to that, which was validated, and it gave a new dimension in which has a social connectivity. I'll come to it that later. And as a scientist, social responsibility. You as a research has this responsibility. Not your work is not confined to the lab, but doing experiments in doing experiment control condition, but to communicate it to the people. And technology development is now having the paradigm of sustainability, and where we are talking about the green technology and innovation. So these are like, we as a researcher, I have to be sensitive when I'm doing my research, and because it will give a connectivity to the people, or what kind of the benefit we are looking at from the outcome of that research to the people. And these are like some policy and an institution which are promoting science communication in our country. Policy now, the STI policy 2013, and the draft one also is talking about the word science communication is not used there. They have used the public understanding of science and technology, but it's the same thing in thing. So now let's come to communicating science to the people. You as a researcher, because I know first thing, the researcher or the scientists are reluctant in communicating to the people because of many reasons. Communicate, so their the things is not comprehensible to the common man. It's like I just remind you a share of Ghalib Sahab. It is very interesting. Say magaz ko बाग में ना जाने दीजिए. Magaz means the honeybee. नाहक खून परवानों का होगा. He is saying, don't allow honeybee to go to the garden, because if they will go into the garden or to near the flower, it will unnecessarily lead to the killing of those parwane or insect which are come near the light. So here the meaning was like if the honeybee will go to the garden, it will go to the flower, it will collect the nectar, and after nectar it will make the honey, and honey, with honey it will make wax also. Max wax ka candle banega, and candle say when it burn, those parwane will come near to that, and they will be unnecessary, they will be killed. So that's why the Ghalib Sahab was not appreciated by during his tenure. It was like that. So similar things scientists are doing. Look at this cartoon. A journalist is approaching, hey, what is the breakthrough of in your research? So what scientist is doing? He is giving him this equation. Okay, so do you think like a journalist who is a simple maybe graduate or postgraduate, even in science, could comprehend that the output of this lab? Definitely it's not. So then what should be, in what way we should do it? So this is मुझे लगता है कि जो Ghalib and Mir Taqi Mir, they were contemporary in Delhi court in Bahadur Shah Jafar time. So at that time about Ghalib, he said like, आपने कहा और आप ही समझे, तो क्या समझे? What our researchers are doing just now. कहने का मजा तब है जब एक कहे और दूसरा समझे. So this is the gist of communication. Whatever you are doing, whatever you are writing, it should be comprehensible, it should be understandable by the other person, or if a person who is having a scientific background. You have to come to that level to tell about your story of your research in that way. So I know science communication is a complex subject because we don't have much in language. The medium of education, because it's an acquired that language. So one problem is always of communicating to common man in ordinary language, because we don't have words, and neither we have it come across with this kinds of thing, and it's always pose a very big say a great difficulty. So I think I think this yeah, sorry, I'm using just so scientific writing is generally when you do what do you call it, a technical writing, it is published in peer reviewed journals like Nature, American Chemical Society का जो journal है. And then this knowledge is for the scientific community. That means it was only for your peers, and for it is a new knowledge, and we use a lot of technical term in that, a lot of table, figures, and references. But when we are writing a popular science writing, it is published, it is written for a newspaper, for a magazine, for a blog, or on social media. And it is for everyone, including scientists, because now the science is so specialized. Even me, if I am a life scientist, I don't know what is going on in AI sector, in the frontline research area, especially in physics or chemistry, even for that matter in life sciences also. So I also need to understand even that part, and knowledge. This is also for knowledge review. Let the people, it should go in the public domain, and people should debate on that, whether it is a good or bad. And then it should be written in a simple term. Examples and illustration you can always give. So then for technical and for popular thing, there's always, both have their own importance. There is no like saying what is more important than the other. Technical communication discloses your finding to the research relevant research communities. Okay, like you publish your paper in a peer reviewed journal, so only that your peers is interested in that finding. And then secure funding through grants for that. If you are writing a proposal for international support, or even for national government, to use the technical terms and all that, because that group of specialists, people who have a knowledge in that field. And then it support your career advancement, like more paper if you're publishing, and if they have their whatever the ranking of the journal, and the points you're getting, it's always helpful. But the when we write a popular article, and it is to inform the general public of the purpose and the importance of your work, promote the value of science to government, to ensure global funding, and engage students. This is in a nutshell, because this is based on our previous experiences. We think like these are the area, or these are the objective which when you are writing a popular article, it should address toward these ends. And then non-technical communication is maybe a news and views or highlights. It may have a infographics. It may have a press release. It may be in the form of a press release. Government briefing, whatever, like suppose most of the time when we have to give the our findings to the parliament, then the briefing is done in a popular way, because all our people who are our policy maker, they may not be familiar with that scientific vocabulary. And the social media, blog post, and interview with a news outlet. Suppose if you're talking to a journalist, so what cartoon I have shown you in the beginning, I am sure we will not do that kind of the mistake. And then if it's a technical communication, that means research article or review, abstract, poster, conference presentation, thesis. It may be a grant proposal, or for a job interview if you're going for a thing. So so this is again, I think I can skip that. We call it a reverse pyramid. This is the approach generally we use. In journalism, the inverted pyramid refer to a story structure where the most important information, or that might even be considered conclusion, is present first. Means like your top story, you might be listening in the news, we can take a correlate from there, top story or breaking news, so that will come first. And then the who, what, when, where, and what. and why appeared at the start of a story, followed by supporting detail and background information. So this means the most important information about an event, we call it a 5W approach. That means who, what, where, when, why, and how. And then the body, the crucial information expanding the topic, arguments, controversies, story, evidence, and background details. It will come in the middle. And the tail, the extra information, interesting, relating items, assessment. Means like when you are writing about the your story about your research, you have to mediate, you have to defend, you have to give a correlate how it going to impact the society, or how it's going to benefit a particular target group which you are which is a main concern of your research. So this is generally but it's not always it is applicable, but this is a for a theoretical premise, this is the approach which we generally we use when we are writing a story. And the basic of popular science writing is, because I generally take the help of Einstein Sahab, who said like, think in your mother tongue. You need to have a basic understanding of science. These are the two important things. Many times when this is for you, not only for your research, but in future, if you are taking this as a career, science writing or science journalism, means like whatever the article you are writing, not it may not pertain to your area even then. So for that you need to have a basic understanding, and just try to recapitulate the entire thing in your mother tongue. So then it is easy, because at that time you have more vocabulary. It's easy to comprehend the whole thing. And Albert Einstein साहब ने कहा था, if you want to take science to the people, first communicate it with your grandparents. So whenever you suppose you want to write a story about your research, tell this story first to your parents or grandparents. This is possible if you yourself have the basic understanding of science. Means like if you know what you are doing, why you are doing, then only you are able to communicate with them in their at that level. So this is like before you put your thing into black and white, these are the thing mentally you have to orient yourself, you have to make yourself ready, or to comprehend all these kinds of things. And and preparing popular science article with a style and substance, means this is the structure. Opening paragraph setting the hook, means like wow factor should be there, well, by reading that, and open with a quote as in novel dialogues inherently interesting, and set up the scene, use descriptive detail to make reader feel that they are in action. Begin with an anecdote, stories, draw, etc. And start with the surprising factor statistics that make the reader wow. It is very important, because this is to just to have the initial interest, generating the initial interest of the reader in your and draw on popular culture or common experiences. Means this is very important. If you need to find a correlate of your research with the your immediate environment, or with your social cultural, or you can say in one way. If something it's not there, I think people will not enjoy that. And try think about friends while writing, that would be the most interesting to that person. So this is again preparing you mentally before you come to the stage of writing into black and white. And then opening remarks, as I told you, set the scene, use descriptive detail to make reader feel that they are in action, and draw on popular culture. Try think about a friend, as I told you again, parents and grandparents. So this should consider them as your target group initially. That okay. So and what we should not do, yeah, make sure that paper has a main theme and a punchline. Avoid the data dumping into that. provide context to prior literature and cite the original work in reference section. And but in popular article, we are not mentioning the references. If required, then only, if necessary, then only, then you are judge for yourself and explain why the problem is important, and share experimental detail that allow you free to perform the experiment also, because you know now almost generally saying that if this is done with this methodology, the result will be this, and anybody is allowed to do that. So sometimes we we give this kind of remark also, and provide a strong conclusion, describe how your work move the field forward, but be realistic, don't be over ambitious. Sometimes, we say something which is not plausible as per the research document. So crafting the title is very important, because if the title is not catchy, I think nobody will read this. How you will title be used. So maximum you use 20 is the optimal thing which we say, because if it's going in the newspaper or in the book, A4 size book, A4 size page, generally it should be readable. So that try to keep it in within a 20 words, and grammatically sound, resonates with your graphical abstract or what kind of thing which you have added into that. Avoid listing potential applications to, and then avoid acronyms, tend to have little meaning outside of a specific area. So that means use a popular word which is known to the people. And now I'll come to a case study. Whatever the point I have discussed before this slide, this was a research from a journal, very similar research what Dr. Parveen Arora had said about the ant chutney, because to my knowledge, I have tasted that ant chutney in Chhattisgarh. This was the district was, I think, but they use it for a, because they be having that lime or anything else to. So in the chutney, all herbs, then just to give a taste, sour taste, खट्टा उसको स्वाद देने के लिए, क्योंकि चटनी में अगर खट्टा स्वाद नहीं होगा तो it is of no use. So they are adding that ants, and no doubt it may have some protein and some other thing, but even in their belief system, in their traditional knowledge system, it has not been mentioned what this advocate was saying. So there is no question of correlation between immunity boosting and the chutney of ant. So here this was a research done similar to that. They say the papaya, we know this character, almost all kids know. Papaya was right. Eating spinach does boost power. It's a very interesting topic. That means palak khane se ताकत आ जाती है. We have seen this cartoon where he is not powerful before a sequence, and once he is having that spinach, and he become very powerful. So the research, look at the title is like it is already known in the public domain. This character is familiar. So it was he has used the public memory to highlight the research component in that way. It was a very, to me, this is one of the best example of science writing. And scientists say, then he is writing that the finding part, the scientists say vegetable has a steroid chemical and must be on the list of prohibited item for athletes. Now this is a mediation part on the part of scientists. First is that the spinach has a steroid which has a effect on the muscles, which increase the strength. Okay, so that means like then only he is coming what's that chemical, how it was isolated, and and how it is like physiologically it is working. So this was all a broad spectrum of the entire research. But to make that research popular among the people, what he did is he said like palak khane se admi mein taakat aati hai. He became stronger by eating a spinach, and the strongness is due to a steroid which he identified, which he isolated through a process, through a mechanism. And people, that means like eating that spinach should be now banned for the athletes. Like look at the implication of this finding that this has been done from a European perspective, where most of the people are non-vegetarian. But in India, most of our pehlwan and athletes are eating only green vegetable, leafy vegetables. So for them, if they are eating the spinach, that means if and this the steroid which is found in that spinach is put into the ban list of the prohibited list of for the athlete. That means they will be failed in their dope test, and they will be out of the competition. So this will be, that's why I'm saying it was a bias reporting in one sense, in the sense like for vegetarian you are saying, because most of our, if you if you surveyed our athletes, most of them, they are on a vegetarian diet, and palak or spinach is one of the important component of that. So this will be the implication for Indian scenario. So, and then let's analyze this on the basis of what we call it a science journalism, or the reverse pyramid approach for writing. He said like papaya, right, eating spinach does boost power. That means this information is already in the public memory because of that cartoon. That character is known, so it is already popular. So using that public memory to correlate your research or with your title, immediately you have a clientage or reader for you. And then the sideline, before that he said the scientists have recommended that this steroid, a hormone found in spinach, be included in the list of prohibited for athlete. So that means it is a social connectivity. It's a relevance, immediate relevance to the society or to the people. So something relatable, and the outcome, you say the outcome is again is not that much. A study involving 46 athlete was carried out. This is a part of methodology, which the way it was done, and they have named that the steroid also, which is found. So that means this was the active compound they have isolated, not like saying chutney khalo or immunity बढ़ जाएगा. Here this first research was to isolate that active compound which was in the category of steroid, and which they are asking it should be banned, and it should be put into the prohibited list for when you're doing the dope test, you should also do the test for this hormone or the steroid. And then special comment. So one of the studies scientists said that the hypothesis was that we would see an increase in performance, but we didn't expect it to be that big. So this was a special comment by one of the team of the scientists. Especially suppose if you are taking an interview of a person, of people who are working in other labs, when you take up this as a career, so how you will do that. And then this social implication means like to make it a popular, they have used first the public memory, then the social connect, then the special comment, and then the special implication. We recommend that this World Anti-Doping Doping Agency in our report that the substance be added to the doping list. That means they are creating a debate among the people. Okay, so this is the way you can divide the structure of your article in the sense, and less important but make story more interesting and relevant for specific group. So that means like any decision on the future ban would be made by a special committee of WADA experts. This is again, and then local and national and international implications of your research you can add to that. So these are lesser important. First is that punchline, which make your title, where you explain everything in a nutshell, and then you come to the lesser important, but they're equally important to make your story interesting. Keep the audience, your readers spellbound in terms of the new finding and the local and the international implication. Means like as a writer or as a communicator, I have to we call it in communication mediation theory. Means like I as an independent person to look at that research outcome and interpret it in my own way. So it's many time it just happened, it is influenced by your ideological preferences, your liking disliking, but that's the way the science journalism is done. Okay, so here this was again one finding where they came out with the outcome was that the ECG report, they can also tell about the health of your heart. Means the diagnostic number to make sense of ECG report. Means whatever the line you see, they also make a sense. It's normal or your heart is okay is one thing, but it can give. So this was like again going at a macro level and telling it, and this was the look at from the angle of utility. So ECG can give you a lot of um, uh, clue about the health of your heart. So this was the research, and this was a popular article which was written based on that finding. And now this was a research, again a hardcore research. You can see this was an abstract. This was a American Chemical Society का जो magazine है, Chemistry for Life. I think this was from that only. They say the label free optical detection of multiple biomarker in sweat, plasma, urine, and saliva. So that means to what extent your body is in stress. So there are a lot of biomarkers in your sweat, your plasma, urine, and saliva. So by that it can be detected, and it can be the whatever is to be recommended for you, it can be given. So here this was a title, technical title, which was given in a for a peer reviewed journal. But when we see how it appeared, in a popular way. So now home testing kit measure stress level in sweat and blood. It's like your sugar level when you have a strip like that. So it can tell about this thing. Device in the work of home-based stress monitoring. So that means based on that, then the kit was devised, which can tell about the stress level. So this means like it was a we all look at the client is in terms of metro kind of situation where we all are under stress in one way or the other. So what is the stress level, so that it is not harming, or are we within that permissible limit, or we have already exceeded that. So in that way, this the science and the product is helpful to the people, and how you can report. An engineer create a simple test that can measure stress hormone in sweat, blood, urine, and saliva. These are the popular popular title based on whatever you see, the label free optical detection of multiple marker in sweat, plasma, urine, and saliva. So this is by your mediation you have simplified, where by title itself the significance, its utility is also highlighted. So here the crafting a title for your story is very, very important, very, very important. And this is again similar way, like this is a typical your title for your research paper. And then you can, so idea was to sharing this case study with you was that in a way there is no hard and fast rule, but if you can use that, it can guide you initially, and then you can structure in your own way, the way you want it and what you want to communicate. I think this is some repeat slide. So now I'm coming to observation, which the story which we have received in last 3 years. There were certain drawbacks in terms of which could not made into the final list even of 103 the researcher case, and other this the post research fellows. So idea was I collected few of them. So if it is a research based, the article is generally written in a popular style and comprehensive. The interesting was like whatever the story we have received, if it was a field based survey, then it was written in a popular way. But if it was a pure hard description of the methodology approach to study and highly technical detail and technical terminology beyond the comprehension of common people, so that means the very so that means before you are submitting your entry, you have to be ask them to read it, whether it make any sense. If they are giving any input, try to incorporate into that and try to avoid the use of those technical jargon in that. And most of the stories were written in first person. The word tell your story have been misunderstood. And the story is more of a self glorification rather than the research of the participant. So this is again very, very careful when you are saying we have said like tell your own story of your research, not your personal story. No, when I was a very poor man, but it was my desire to do research, and finally I reached to IIT Kanpur or Bombay. No, these details are not required, because we found like many of those stories which were submitted to us, which have these kinds of things. And in many stories, the significant portion is about the secondary data. So that means like initially the research has not progressed yet to the experimental level or to where the results could be or even the trends of your data, you have not reached to that level. So if you have not yet reached to that level where you have done experimentally something or in the field collected some data and some preliminary analysis has been done where you can gather some trends from the data, then only you are ready to write your story. Before that, I think it will be a premature, and you will be just talking about your literature review or second from the secondary source of the data. Then it won't be called as your research. And then in many stories, the original R&D component is missing, especially where the research is not yet mature enough to arrive at findings. And then the most of the story are essay. Don't write essay. As I gave you the format, I have shown you the case study of this papayas spinach eating thing. Perfect, and this is the way you should write in a popular article. And approach to science story writing or new value is missing. This is again, that's why this webinar we are doing. So you should feel the difference of bringing to the level of more and more simplicity, not oversimplification, not undermining the crucial scientific fact and methodology, but it should be in such a way which could be comprehensible to a common man. The stories on core R&D, in such case, the social connection are missing without backward or forward note. So they are just talking about what they have done and what is their outcome. So then social connect is missing. Then what is the purpose and how it going to affect the society, that was not given. So this is also not like it cannot be called in a popular story. And in many core story, the title of the story is giving same as your research problem. This is very important. As I told you, you have to coin a new title for your story. Don't give whatever the title of your thesis which you have submitted in a synopsis. Don't give that. It will you can say reduce in its value during the evaluation process. So coin a perfectly new title, catchy title, which can tell about your research component, its utility, and even if it's come, you can give the future implication, that also. Okay. And some stories are fascinating but not yet mature, in the sense giving only a hypothetical conclusion. So that is also not you can't call it in a research till you are at a hypothetical level. And then many stories are only a summary of the progress report of research. This is like half-hearted effort I have found on many part of many researchers, where they have just whatever they progress report which are to be submitted to HOD, same thing was sent to us. Do some work. I think that will be much great if you and some stories have a useful R&D component, but articulation is not up to the mark. uh, to make reading a pleasurable, uh, uh, to make it a pleasure despite interesting finding and the social character. That means here the craftsmanship as a writer was bad. It was not done skillfully, which as a writer you have to do it. And despite all the good component in your research and in your approach, methodology, everything. And even in a dialogic format, the story is turning out to be a serious discussion. Many stories they have written when tell your story, we are saying about your research. So they have used a dialogic form. Uh, dialogic form. So, in that also, I think you avoid that long dialogue, two people discussing what happened, why you did that, not like an interview kind of thing. It's not an article or a story there. And in some cases appear to be the introduction chapter of your thesis. Okay. मैं थोड़ी देर में करता हूँ फोन. Okay, so in some cases, more space is given in many stories in describing the objective methodology and other technical details, which is unnecessary, uh, concerning the text. It is putting, so whatever is done, what I have shared 2-3 stories with you, case studies with you, take a guidance from those thing. And many stories with good content turn out to be semi-technical, lack of popular appeal actually. And some stories were only a state of art of the situation. There has no this popular appeal in that. And in many stories, it is mainly the elaboration of experiment conducted, research design, methodology, or the result of the experiment. So this is also not. So it has a head and tail also, and it should be, if it has a the reverse pyramid type of approach, I think it will be it will be a good story, and you will be definitely finding a place in 103 and 20 or 21 those which are being awarded for. Even you're starting, when you start writing a paper, ask a few questions to yourself. What new add my research to the existing knowledge? And something not known earlier in terms of new academic knowledge, method, conduct, protocol, etc. Many times it just happened, even my methodology itself is a new finding. Okay, it has not been tried earlier. So my methodology is my main research contribution to the new knowledge. And what do the finding imply? What will be the uses or this thing? And how do the finding impact society or the environment, or bridging the gap between the science and society? Means it will be useful. Like we see the sweat as a biomarker, and then making that kit which can tell you the stress level of your body. So this is all you can see the connection with the research and the local people, and what result drove you to the conclusion, and why, how do you think the results are relevant to the society? Mediation part of yours as a researcher, and how do you arrive at the result, and how expensive, economical are your procedure, method, and product, and how difficulty easy were the procedures. So this is when it is your methodology itself is a major output of your research. So then start with a quote, undermine the obvious, science as a tool of myth busting, then remind people of their childhood, use the story of some celebrity, character, or incidents, and call for action, participation, and be concise. Means I'll give you this myasthenia is a autoimmune disorder in the body. And I read an article. So he started with this problem or disorder is being faced by the famous actor Amitabh Bachchan since last 20 years. Means one cannot, swallow the things. Who has a disorder, you have to take a medicine like 4 times in a day. Before every drink or meal, you have to take that medicine. So telling about this, the nestemia as a autoimmune disorder, he used, the Amitabh Bachchan story as a main to begin with. So immediately it catches the attention of the people to tell about this disorder. So something like that, if you can do that, and conclusion should be make the people feel that the time is the time he or she has spent reading the article was, worth spent it was a well spent time. And in other words, the reader should feel satisfied by the experience. And a true successful conclusion will also inspire the reader to seek out the additional information about the topic, like whatever you were saying. So here, the whatever the your work which you started with your literature review and all that, the people will be going into that. They will be finding more popular article which might have been written earlier also, or even sometime technical paper. So this is uh, the final word is that if you can't explain it simply, what Einstein is saying, you don't understand it well enough. Means like हमको अपना research ही समझ में नहीं आया if we cannot explain it simply. So be simple, and the narrative should be engaging with well illustrated examples or illustration if you can give. I'll come to a few things, because now even you can give illustrations, pictures, diagram also in your study. This is some example, because we have been communicating the corona. So here, because this was the seventh flu virus, which the corona, he say, now it is a time for me for a unlimited opportunity to rule the country. This was a time when the vaccine was not there. So this and then the distinction was made, how the technical part was given here is the SARS-2 is saying my cousin SARS-1 is bit dumb. I'm smart. Why I'm smart? Because he is having a report card. He's saying promoted with the additional site for replication, because SARS-1 was replicating only in the lungs, but the SARS-2 was replicating in the respiratory system before going to the lungs. And where even that time there was a person may or may not have any symptoms. So that's why he say I'm smart. And so these kinds of illustration examples, science tool you can use in to make your story more popular. So this was again the picture before the vaccine was developed. They say, are we safe, dear? The female strain of corona virus is saying. So the male virus is saying they are relaxing on a beach. Say yes, no vaccine, no evolutionary pressure to find a new host. Just relax, darling. So this is the state of a situation before the arrival of the vaccine. And now this was because this corona virus was worshipped in a many place in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Jharkhand as a corona maya. Means it's a new deity. So they say there yellow fever, chickenpox, and rabies. They are in a very sad mood, and even HIV is weeping. I'm very sad and angry. No respect for oldies. Corona is being given a status of a deity of corona maya, and nobody is asking us. Uh, so this is again to show that how you may not be you may be a carrier of this SARS virus, even if you don't have a symptoms, but you may be a carrier. So these kind of illustration you can show. This is about the herd immunity, concept of herd immunity, and this is about the symptoms of corona. Say this food has no taste. So husband is saying to wife, the wife is saying, yes, you have an early symptom of corona, better go for a taste rather than a taste. So this kind of humor punchline you can give, if it's you can make a relevant science tune to your story. So this is again one, thanks dear for joining hand, because a lot of people during the lockdown they were not getting this alcohol, so they start drinking that sanitizer, so many people were killed. So here this the corona is joining hand with sanitizer. That thanks dear for joining hands, because it is also killing people. So this is again so finally, in conclusion, I should say, uh, be a ghalib, in the sense you should develop your own style of writing. And I conclude my this talk with again a share of Ghalib Sahab. Hai duniya mein aur bhi sukhanwar bahut अच्छे, means experts, but कहते हैं कि गालिब का अंदाजे बयां और है. So make your जो अंदाजे बयां है, your story, make it different. By reading that, one should make that, yes, it is written, it is a story by ABC, or in ABC, any of you may be there. So with this word, thank you very much. If you have any question or clarification, I think the now session is open for that. Thank you.
Thank you,
And
sir.
thank you, Bharatji, and Parveen Arora ji, and Nakul Bhargav ji, Nakul Parashar ji, and Rashmi ji, for giving me this opportunity to share some of my views and my thoughts with the young researchers. Thank you.
So we tried to answer some live questions which appeared on the question answer session.
Yeah.
So some common queries were there. So I will read out.
Yeah.
Is there any writing format to be followed?
No. As I told you, there is for theoretically, I shared that reverse pyramid approach, but there is no format. You have to see that it should be written in an interesting way. The title should be interesting. The first initial paragraph should be very, very exciting, having a wow factor about your research. And then you are your own judge. But as I told you, as a marker of the goodness or the badness of your writing skill, share it with your grandparents, parents, and your friend. Give them for reading and take their input and try to simplify it, or make those necessary correction which you think is necessary.
Okay.
So there is no.
So there are some general queries regarding submission, word limit, last date, and where the scholar can get the information about announcement of webinars.
Bharatji, you reply those.
So I will do that. I will do that. So the word limit for submission is a minimum of 1,000 words and maximum is 1,500 words. So this is the range. 1,000 to 1,500 words is the limitation. You can put your images, relevant images also in your story. Last date of submission is 30th of September. Last date of submission is 30th of September. And all the information, lectures and the resources, some reference material is available in the AWSAR website. The AWSAR website, I will spell it like awsar-dst.in. I have written in the chat box also. So all resources are available in that resource kit and lectures also. All the last year awarded stories are also available on the website in publication section. There are some queries regarding submission and how to submit and registration. So we have a demo registration also, which will be explained by Gaurav Jain. Gaurav
clarification that whatever the stories we have, which were awarded in the previous years, just use them for a guidance. Don't follow them. It's not necessary they were the best, because but at that time they were the best. So since then a lot of water has been flown under the bridge. So in terms of even the evaluation process also, so look at them only for guidance. Don't follow them. Develop your own style, your own approach, your own method. Okay, and listen to your heart, whatever that we think we have discussed, and try to do in that way rather than following any of those, because it just happened last year. Many of those stories were just a, they have followed the same format which were awarded in the previous years. But don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes,
some query. Okay, so I will take a few questions which is just appeared on the Q&A section. So some people are asking, negative feedbacks are also good. So what we are doing, last year also we did, we invited top 250 to 300 stories, and we have an interaction workshop with them. And we gave them the negative feedback also, positive feedback also, and asked them to modify and resubmit the story. So we are rejection criteria is not so strict, I can say. But as you mentioned कि लोगों ने अपनी स्टोरी बता दी, मैं बचपन में ऐसा था, वो करता था, तो outrageously हम लोग वो स्टोरी रिजेक्ट कर देते हैं. So this is not relevant to the format of the AWSAR. Okay, or can we submit the story individually? I am not associated with any organization after my PhD. If you have submitted your PhD and you have defended and your PhD is awarded, so you are not eligible. And a lot of queries are there regarding published work. So this is not mandatory that the publication should be there. The unpublished story also can be submitted, but the same story should not be submitted somewhere else, which we are applying for the AWSAR award.
Bharatji, there is a one question, clarification. Even if it has been published as a technical paper, then there is no bar. You can submit because this format is different. Even if your paper is under review, even then, because
so this is not mandatory. Any research publication should be there.
Yes, because it has it altogether a different program, and the objective is different. We are not looking whether you have published your technical paper or not. It is immaterial whether it is published or under review or it is yet to be published. We are talking about you are in an active phase of research, and whatever is your finding till now, you have to write a story on that. That's all. So forget about the technical paper and review paper.
One more
not required. Yeah.
One question is there. Suppose our research utilizes sophisticated equipments. Do you recommend us to explain in principle in layman's terms or just mention it? For example, electron microscope. So how sophisticated?
No. I think electron microscope is known now in 6th or 7th class standard. So you use word.
If somebody is using some sophisticated equipment, does he or she need to explain?
Okay, so unless the use of equipment itself is has a news value, then you should write. Otherwise, you can say we use this thing, and for that somewhere a footnote you can give. The reader interested to know more about this equipment may find more detail on blah blah if some linkage or something is there. So you don't need to explain, but you can tell its mechanism by what it in what way this equipment has helped you as compared to the previous one. Okay, so that comparison you can give where the equipment itself has a news value. Otherwise it's not necessary, because now as example I gave you about that Swedish article, they might have isolated that active compound by using certain equipment or something. They have not mentioned that. The mechanism of isolating that active compound has not been mentioned. So they have mentioned the active compound name. It has a property like this thing, and its impact. That's all. So important is the not the methodology, not the equipment, but the final outcome. Yeah.
Thank you, Tyagi sir.
Okay.
And now we will move to Dr. Gaurav Jain. वो एक्सप्लेन करेंगे कि कैसे सबमिशन वगैरह होता है. फिर now after that we will take another questions, few questions more. Over to Gaurav ji.
Thank you, sir. सर आप पोस्ट बना देंगे मुझको?
हाँ जी, एक मिनट. हाँ जी, ओके.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So, my screen is visible?
हाँ, विजिबल है, विजिबल है.
ठीक सर. So ये अवसर की वेबसाइट है, awsar-dst.in. So in this you will find on all the information related to AWSAR, like awards, AWSAR awards, award categories, what is the selection criteria, what are the guidelines, information related to workshops and other things. There is one link called AWSAR resource kits. So where you will find all the related resources like awarded articles, previous year awarded articles, sample stories, references and presentations from experts. Like the one you have just seen, Tyagi sir presentation, we are going to upload it on this website. So for registration and for submission of story, you need to first create your account on AWSAR website. So this is the page for sign up. It is asking the basic details related to your PhD, your date of birth, telephone number, mobile number, and other things. So I have created one demo account. So let me log in. So when you create your account and then you log in, you will find a link called submit your story. And when you click on submit your story, it will ask, have you earlier submitted your story? If yes, it will ask the reference number, title of the story. And it will also ask if you are a previous awardee or not. So if you put no, then you can submit your story. If you are already AWSAR awardee, then you are not eligible for applying in this program for this year. So like I will click on no and submit your story. So basically this is the form where you are supposed to fill this form and submit your manuscript. So again, it will ask the basic details, your mobile number, your date of birth, your Aadhaar number, a copy of your Aadhaar. These are your qualification details. And this is the main part, submit your manuscript. Here you need to fill the category of your research. These are broad areas where you can select, and the title of your story, some keywords so that it can be searchable. And this is the area where you can actually upload your doc file, and you can preview and submit your story, or even you can save your data and submit your story later. So this is the area. So any question related to your submission, you can ask.
PDF फॉर्मेट में सबमिशन का पूछ रहे हैं. Only PDF is allowed?
No, you can upload it in docs file also.
Okay.
Actually, it is only in doc file. You have to upload your story in doc file only.
Again, question, word limit.
Word limit is 1000 to 1500 words.
images at separate JPG or inserted in the text? I said it should
No,
be.
you can insert your images in your text only. You can insert your images in doc file and upload it.
Many chances. How many chances a scholar will get to submit their research article? As there are several components of a research study which is researcher want to share. So only one submission is allowed from from a scholar. Plots and graphs can be submitted. Yes, you can submit your plots and graph. This is not mandatory. Again, I am repeating. This is not mandatory that you should have a published paper. May I submit the modified story of my previous submission? Can we do that?
Yeah, you can do that. If it is not awarded, then you can always resubmit your story.
With what about if somebody has already submitted their story on their website?
On AWSAR website?
एक बार कर दिया submit.
No, if you have save your data and submit your story, then you are not able to,
change नहीं कर
submit your story.
Can we modify the submission details until we finally submit? वो save option का एक बार बता दीजिए.
Yes, there are two options. Let me show you. Here you will find two options. One is save, one is preview and submit. So you can save your content, your data as many times as you want. But once you preview and submit your story, then you are not able to modify it. So when you are sure that you are finally going to submit your story, then only click on this submit and preview link. Otherwise, you can save your data as many times as you want. You can change your data, whatever you want. But once you submit, then it is, you are not able to submit it again.
So this program is exclusively for PhD and postdoctoral fellow. So MSc masters are not allowed. We are not providing any award category wise, subject category wise. We are not giving award. It's a general award. Any limitation for graphs or plot or image that you can judge yourself, because how many, it should be 2-3 images are okay. Tyagi sir?
Normally 2-3 images.
Yeah, but my submission is that it should not, by adding a lot of graphs and all that, it should not lose its popular appeal. The whole purpose is you are communicating science to the ordinary man. So if he can comprehend your graph, then it's okay. If it's like you are communicating among your peers, then it is of no use. Graph or any other infographics, it should be in not the same graph which you have. If it is not making any sense to me, then it has no utility in that. It is not adding any value to your article. If it's even if it's a supporting thing, even it's not necessary. So as I told you, you are the best judge of your thing. You consult, among your friends, your parents, or people who are interested in science, to see whether this graph make a sense in the story or not. So it's not necessary. Generally, if you read any popular article, there are only rarely they use. Sometimes information is so that without that you cannot explain your finding, then it's okay. But if without graph you can explain, I think it is better to avoid that.
And if somebody is putting graph or images and they want to give references, where they should give the references?
As I told you, generally in popular article we don't give references, but sometimes if there is you know book. It's a very small, less than 100 pages, and it has not used any equation. It has used the pictures, but no equation except this Einstein equation he has used about the energy in the book. That's why it's the most read book by known scientific people. So you should take this book as an example when you are writing your article. I think I recommend all of you to go through that book if possible before your submission, and there you will realize you can explain everything by words, by using the public memory and their experiences. And generally what we expect, the terminology which you use, like a person, suppose he has a science student up to 10th or 12th class, I think he should be able to comprehend your article. So that is the, you can say, the bench line for using scientific terminology in that. Like electron microscope, somebody asked, so it is like it's well known, so you don't have to explain the mechanism of the functioning of that. Or you can say it enlarge this many time a small object.
What was the name of the book you recommended? I need
Brief History of Time. Brief History of Time.
Brief History of Time.
Yeah, by Stephen Hawking.
Okay. So
there is a one question. They say, can you provide a comment on my story of last year rejected? There is actually no rejection or acceptance. It is, it is a competition. So, and in competition, there is a marking system, and which is a evaluation by two experts. One is a subject expert, and other is by a science communicator or popular science writer. And their collective numbers, and then the means of that is given in that way. So as such, there is no rejection, but you are not in the awarding category. That's all. So this seminar or webinar we are doing only for that. So whatever you read yourself your story again, what you have submitted, and look at in the light of today's discussion, and whatever the changes you can make into that, do that, I think.
So again, mass spectrometry, how person can explain mass spectrometry? So
Okay.
the person is keen in knowing the explanation for equipments.
No, but this is the equipment, it is used for a purpose. So reader is not interested in your equipment. He is interested in your outcome, and you have to tell about your outcome.
So Gaurav-ji.
Yes, sir.
Some question is there कि declaration के बारे में, declaration of originality, और वो लोग कुछ पूछ रहे थे कि इंस्टीट्यूट के थ्रू करना है या इंडिविजुअल करना है. तो
नहीं, इंस्टीट्यूट के बारे में आप उसमें हमें इन्फॉर्म कर दीजिए. हमने फील्ड्स वहां पर दी हैं, और आप डायरेक्टली भी सबमिट कर सकते हैं. कोई हम ऑथराइजेशन लेटर या कुछ ऐसा नहीं मांग रहे हैं. और दूसरा जो डिक्लेरेशन से रिलेटेड क्या है सर क्वेश्चन?
Declaration of originality to be mentioned within the manuscript. So this is not required actually. It's not mandatory.
We are doing this plagiarism test, it is a inbuilt in case because if it is not qualifying that, so I think then it will not be accepted. So we will do the plagiarism test at our end.
What about somebody is doing mass communication and pursuing PhD in science communication? So Tyagi sir,
जी,
मास कॉम और साइंस कम्युनिकेशन के जो बच्चे हैं, स्कॉलर हैं, और they are not allowed. They actually, we are asking for the science and technology stream.
Yes, it's a pure science, basically pure science and technology. We are looking for it, but if they have joined us, they can do no, they cannot be a part of competition, but they are free to submit their stories to different magazines and newspaper.
So if somebody
because this competition is mainly for pure R&D. We are asking like our research scholars who are doing research in pure science and technology, they should be encouraged to write about their own work.
and
What they are doing.
we want to make a group
Yes.
of science communicators from researchers.
Yes, because they write with more authenticity as compared to a journalist in the sense, so because of their better understanding of science and technology. So this is the whole objective of, as Dr. Rashmi Sharma has told you in the beginning, this is the whole objective of this scheme, to encourage our researchers to write about science and technology. And
One
that is
question there, what are the mandatory sections to be added in the manuscript? There is no such definition.
no such definition.
There should be introduction, abstract, methodology.
No, I think my all dear researchers has to come out from the mold of writing a technical paper, because technical paper has a format, abstract ho gaya, introduction, then the method, objective, methodology, blah blah blah, all things. It is not required here. We are giving it because when we are writing a story, it has a more of a news value in the sense it has a contemporary relevance, recently done, and where people should ought to know about it. So there you don't have to use all that. What are the objective? Most of the stories which the word, if I use, rejected, were mainly on that ground. They use the format of a technical paper, like writing objective, first the title, then the introduction, then the objective, methodology, and even some I have found like the discussion word has been used as a, like in the conclusion part. So it is not required. It should be a narrative in the sense like one incident or one paragraph is connecting to the other in such a way. So there is no objective or how you will conceptualize your entire research into a story format. It has to be done in that way, and as a result different format will emerge. That's why like for writing a article or story for any journal or popular thing, there is no such format. And we encourage, if we encourage the diversity of those formats, because it will be a learning for us also, that this could be a way to communicate.
PhD scholar from homeopathy are eligible. Yeah, they are eligible.
They are eligible. At only example is that again, this is a try to relate with the example of ant. Chutney is helping. So it should be supported by your clinical data, your empirical observation, because homeopathy is again there is a lot of debate. So, but it is into a category of now recognized field of science, but when it is related, so you have to show your result through some data or something like clinical research and all that, then only it will it's like, what is the recent scientific methodology? If you are following that, it will be a science story.
Dr. Gaurav, how participant will get certificate? One question is there. कैसे लोग certificate ले लेंगे? Webinar certificate.
Certificate for this webinar?
Sorry?
Yeah. All the participants who are registered through our website, they will get e-certificate through email. We will send them e-certificate.
And also some feedback form is also required from them. No?
Yeah.
Submitting
before getting the certificate, you need to fill the feedback form. Once you fill the feedback form, we will send you the e-certificate.
Okay. Thank you. So, Tyagi sir, if more queries are there, you can write to us. I am
Yeah, please.
connect.awsar@gmail.com. This is our mail ID. You can write to us for any query. And now formally, I think we should conclude this webinar. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Please,
Okay.
I think we should thank our participants for taking some keen interest, and I wish them that they should be winning the competition this year, and especially those who has submitted last year and could not make it. But definitely with this series webinar, it will help as a winner for the AWSAR program. So with these words, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
To all of you. Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you.